I'm just gonna wait for a few more people to get in here, just so that it's a lot more people. Don't have to ask the same questions and everything. So while we wait, if you have any questions or anything I want to run down, just let me know in the comment section or the chat now, and I will answer any questions you have, maybe regarding the strat or anything. So. Also, wait for a few more. Can you hear me all right? Oh, my webcam is not up. A lot more people, don't have to ask the same questions and everything. So while we wait, if you have any questions or anything I want to run down, just let me know in the comment section or the chat now, and I will, answer any questions you have, maybe regarding the strat or anything. So. Also, 1 second while I try to grab that. Right? My webcam is not up. Don't have to ask the same questions and everything. So while we wait, if you have any questions or anything I want to run down, just let me know in the comment section or the chat now, and I will, answer any questions you have, maybe regarding the strat or anything. Also, 1 second while I try to grab that. Yeah.
You want pizza?
No, I'm good. Yeah, about to start streaming.
Any video on?
Yeah, for some reason it's not picking up my video, which is weird.
Is this the first streaming off everything? Off the new one?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. What's the temps at?
I don't know yet, I'll have to check after.
And what's this on? What are you streaming on?
YouTube.
You got a lot of followers?
Not a lot, but hopefully we can get some. Yeah, about to start streaming. Yep. Yeah, for some reason it's not picking. I have to sign into chat to my own thing? That doesn't make much sense. Yeah.
Oh fuck. What's the temps at?
I don't know yet, I'll have to check after. Alright, YouTube. Okay. I'm just gonna wait for a few more people to get in here. I see a couple are joining in now, so just gonna let some more just roll in. I already have the watch list made and set up, so we're just gonna let everybody stroll in, and then this way I will then break down the actual watch list and everything. I'm just gonna wait for a few more people. Hello there, Mike. Hello there, Joshua. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, just throw them in chat, and I will read them off. The video is a little bit delayed to what you type, so you type in real time, and then you'll see it maybe like 10 seconds after. So if I don't answer it right away, don't think I'm ignoring it. Just wait a little bit, and if you if I don't answer it after a couple minutes, then just retype it, and I'll get back to it if I do miss it. Just I don't want you guys having to ask the same questions a million times, and then and then I do answer it or whatever. The video is a little bit delayed to what you type, so you type in real time, and then you'll see it maybe like 10 seconds after. So if I don't answer it right away, don't think I'm ignoring it. Just wait a little bit. And if man, I don't need this. Remember, remember your last Zoom thing that didn't save? And I'll get back to it if I do miss it. Just I don't want you guys having to ask the same questions a million times. And then, yeah, for some reason it's not picking up my webcam, which I have to fix. But it won't be that big of a deal. It'll just kind of keep the chat more open and everything. Man, I don't need this. Remember, remember your last Zoom thing that didn't save? Yeah, for some reason it's not picking up my webcam, which I have to fix. But it won't be that big of a deal. It'll just kind of keep the chat more open and everything. All right. I guess we'll get started. This will be saved as a past broadcast as well, so if you ever have any questions in regard to this, you know, if you have the time, you can always go back and look. If not, just let me know, and, you know, I'll always break it down in the Discord itself. So, I already have the watch list made. This is just a basic thing that I have. You can ignore all this area. It's just past stuff that I never got rid of. So essentially, this is the watch list. We're going to have Carnival, American Airlines, this should be AAL, which is American Airlines. Wait, no, sorry, we already have that. This should be WFC, which is Wells Fargo. I already have the watch list made. Oh, I messed up here. PFE, and then we will add one more. Ignore all this area. It's just past stuff that I never got rid of. I do. Sorry about that. Is the echo now gone, Josh? I'm going to open up Weeble as well on another, is it still echoing? If it is, please let me know and I will try to see what the problem is. I just it's still echoing. I just muted the, see, they're maybe picking up more than one mic. It possibly could be. No more echo? I didn't even change anything. I guess it... Alright, well, as we do these more often, I'll work out the kinks, so it's not always like this. So let's get rolling. Right now, like I said, this is the 4. I'll see if there's any more. I always say that I use TrendSpider. This is TrendSpider. As you can see here, it has all of my things that I scan for. So I always start with a inside day and scan. And then, well, as you scroll down, it'll have all of these that you can then pick from, right? It gives me everything that I need in terms of my inside bar for the dailies. So as I broke down the what's it called before, the watch list, we have Carnival, right? Carnival's an inside day. American Airlines. I might add. All right, so Carnival, American Airlines is definitely on it. We have. I'm gonna add Cisco, Pfizer, and Citigroup. That's gonna be the watch list. Cisco, Pfizer, Citigroup. Those are our 5 that we're going to be looking at for tomorrow. Now, from here, we are now going to then, I always like to, you can chart in TrendSpider. And then, you know, I can always like upload these, but I just have not gone super comfortable with charting in TrendSpider yet. It's kind of wonky at the moment for me, just because I haven't really done it a lot. So I'm kind of like just doing it as I, you know, get better. I'll start using that more, and then I can just post you those charts right away. But for now, I trade on Charting View, and we are breaking down the daily inside bars. So here on Trading View, you'll see Carnival is a daily inside bar. So essentially what an inside bar is, if you have not watched my YouTube on essentially the intro to Strat, it is when it does not break the high or the low of the prior candle. So we'd be looking at Friday's candle, the 29th, and it did not break so Carnival did not break the high or the low of Thursday's candle. So an inside bar, is an actionable signal, because either way it breaks, it's either going to be a continuation or it's going to be a reversal. So if you look at Carnival here, you're going to see that if we get a 2 up, if it breaks the high, which I will mark here, right? This is how I do all my charting. High and low, right? You mark the high and the low for the 1. From there, so that's your entry on the daily candle, right? So when I put on my watch list that I post in the Discord, daily and 4-hour entry, this is what I mean by my daily entry. It's based off the daily candle, and then it's breaking the high or the low of the daily candle. So right now with Carnival, the daily entry is 918, and the daily put entry is 877. From there, we also like to look at the 4-hour because you could get an earlier entry. You see how this is another inside bar here on the 4-hour? That just means now that we chart in here and we get a little bit earlier entry. So now calls are 911 and puts are 899. So if this goes puts, instead of getting at 877, we can get in at 899, and that saves us 22 cents in terms of our entry. And for a stock like Carnival, that's a huge difference. Even this 7 cents to the call side is a huge, huge difference in terms of getting in for something as small as Carnival. So that's how I chart this. And then on top of that, then I'll do my price targets. So the price targets are always the next day, the day before that's candle, or actually the high of that candle, right? So the high and low of Thursday's candle are your first price targets you're looking to hit. Will it always hit? No, but that's what you're looking to hit on the day, for the day. And if you do, you're going to have a nice run. Then you mark your next one, which is the next leg down, and then you keep on going. So looking at Carnival on the daily, when you see it here, it's had a pretty rough stretch. It's to the downside lately ever since about July 20th. And then from here, you see another indicator that I have shows the dailies green, weeklies down, monthly and quarterly. So we'll take a look at those as well. But before we do that, we're going to look at the earlier, the shorter time frames to see exactly what we can see on there. So I go at least to the 15, because then you can see everything in here. So we got 2 down on the 15. Right, and then right now we have an hourly inside bar as well. So these 3 are down. So if we can flip this 15, we'll go on a nice run. Or if we flip the 4-hour to the downside, we'll have most of them in our time frame continuity. Another thing that is broken down in Intro to Strat. Essentially, you want most of these running in the same direction, and then you want to get in them on the reversals. When you get in the reversals, flipping this 15 to green, which then flips this 30 to green, and then this hour to green, you have those all running in your direction, and that's exactly what you want in terms of full time frame continuity. So we can also look on the hour. Hour is another inside bar, so this is something else we'd be looking for to also break. That could also be a nice little earlier entry, but we won't mark that yet, just to keep it very simple. If you have any questions on Carnival, let me know. I'll break it down, maybe a little bit slower. Maybe you need a refresher, whatever it is. Let me know, and I will break that down, as well as I'm also going to then put these into the spreadsheet so I can post them later. So next, doesn't look like anybody has any questions, so I will move on to the next one, which is American Airlines, another airline company. And from here, we will now move in and chart the daily entry for American Airlines. So here we have if you look at American Airlines, it is a 3-1 on the daily. So essentially, now this is a huge reversal either side, because no matter what, it's going to be a reversal. You're either going to get a reversal to the upside or reversal to the downside. So here we have the daily entries of calls 1392, puts 1349. We'll mark our price targets. Boom, and then boom. Okay, simple. Just like we did on the last one, you're looking for that. All the time frames here are all green, so you're looking for those to run. Monthly, the last month was an inside bar. So for now, the inside bar, this is July's inside bar. We want to really, if we break, this is when we'll see huge runs either way, 1542 or 1252. So that's something just to mark and be cautious of, since we did have the inside bar here for July. All right, so then we go and mark the 4 hour, which is again an inside bar. So you'll get a little bit earlier of an entry for both calls and puts. And then this is how the calls and puts will be set up. So for American Airlines, we're looking at calls at 1385 for the 4 hour and 1392 for the daily. For puts, it's 1370 for the 4 hour and then 1349 for the daily. So that's what we are looking at. The time frame continuity is mostly to the upside. A lot of inside bars, especially in the monthly and the quarterly. So let's take a look at the quarterly. All right, I don't have it on here. Oh, all right. Well, I have the free trading view, so I cannot look at it here. Sorry about that. But that's what we're looking for. With all these inside bars, we'll take a look at the smaller time frame. You get this to the upside, you get this 15-minute to flip, and you flip these 30-hour and 1530 an hour. We're going to have a nice run on American Airlines. So that is something I like to the call side, especially if you get this reversal. So again, any questions, let me know in the chat. I'll break down, after I do the watch list. If you guys have any questions on ones that you are looking at, let me know. I'll also break those down in terms of the strat and see what I see. And again, thank you all for tuning in to this. We will do more in-depth ones as we go. Maybe we won't do the watch list, but we'll do, basic, just charting and stuff. That way people can get an understanding. I want to do this first one mostly of the charting of the strat. This way people get an understanding of how I chart. Just in case you haven't seen the old videos, they have this one now, they'll see this, and then going forward, we can add in now. Josh, I'm actually going to go over the strikes all at the end. I just want you guys to chart first, right? Get the charts down, understand it, and then at the end, after we go through all 5 and get all the charts, I will go through, pull up Weeble, and we will look at what strikes we'll be looking at. They'll all be weekly, so they'll all be, I think that's the 5th. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, that's July. Yeah, so it'll all be August 5th, and then I'll give you the actual strike itself once we chart all 5. Instead of going back and forth, back and forth. So let's move on to Cisco. And like I said, as we break down these more and as people get more comfortable, we will, go in more in depth than just straight charting. What our outlook is and everything, and anything that people have questions on, I'm here to answer. All right, so like I said, next up is Cisco. You got to turn this green. Chart the high and the low. Since we are a 2-1, we are sitting here. Everything, no inside bars for the weekly, monthly, or quarterly, so it's nothing really we look at yet. But we do like when we get, so like if you look at the weekly, if you do get a 2 up here, confirms more run to the upside, right? That would confirm more upside. And then if you get a 2 down here, then you're looking for, for it to come down. Monthly, same thing. That monthly high is also the same as the weekly high. So if we break 45.87, we're looking for a nice run to the upside. Did the inside bar scanner indicator stop working for you too? Nathan, do you use TrendSpider by any chance? because mine worked for me. When I was on TrendSpider, I was able to scan and it worked fine. If you are on TrendSpider and it's not picking up for you, let me know, and I will, try to see if I can troubleshoot in any way to help you. Okay, so let's go back to Cisco. So like I said, if we get to the upside, that's what we are looking for that. If we break that 45.87 this week, we're getting now another 2 up on the monthly and the weekly, and that is a huge indicator for for calls. I do not use the TradingView one, so that is just, I just use the TrendSpider one. I really like TrendSpider. It helps a lot in terms of everything I can scan for. Alright, so let's go to the 4 hour. So here, unlike the other ones, this one has a 2 on the 4 hour. So with this being a 2 on the 4 hour, we get no earlier entry here to the call side. It's the same price. But when you look at the puts, we get the earlier entry on the puts because it's not the same price to the downside. Yes, I will look at Apple after I do the watch list. We'll break down Apple as well. So here, a nice easy one. We have most of the time frame continuity running in your direction already. So we have a little minor gap on the 4 hour as well. We'll mark that in white. So that's something we could be looking to get as well. And right now we have the, just a bunch of 2s in a row, 2, 2, 2, 2. Just keeps on rocking, and we look to fill this gap. It's not a big one. It's only 6 cents. 6 cents. So 5 cents. Sorry. But it's still something to look at to, to try to see if we can hit it. Okay, so let me just put these numbers in. Okay. And then next we have Pfizer, which has been a nice one for me lately. And Pfizer has an inside month and a quarter and day so far. It's running on a 3-1, so we're looking for that 2 to either side. And with it on the monthly, I will also mark the monthly inside as well, because when we break those, that is a big indicator of what we are looking for. Right, and then I'll go back to the 4 hour because we did the daily already, and we have another inside on the 4 hour. It's essentially what happened to my drawings? There. So here's the chart now for Pfizer. We have a 2 here, an inside bar on the 4 hour daily and monthly. It's an outside week though, so we do have to look at the weekly to see how that is. And it's a big 3. So that is something to look for as well. But with the monthly in this inside bar, we really are looking for this downside, or the reversal here. That'll give us a big run. We might not get it this week, but it's just something to be looking out for in the next couple of, maybe this week, next week, just to really be on the lookout for, since it's not that far away, especially for puts. 49.10, $1.40. So here is the breakdown for Pfizer. I'll keep that up there for you guys so you guys can look at. Okay, and lastly, we will look at Citibank. And then I will go over any questions you guys have. As you know, right now it just looks like Apple, but if you guys have any other stocks you want me to look at, let me know, and I will pull them up as well. I'll also do a little breakdown on SPY and QQQ, just so we have a little, look at what they're, potentially doing. Citigroup, we have a 3-1, so a 2 to either direction gets us that reversal, which we're looking for. And then the 4-hour, another inside 4-hour, which we now have to chart here. And we are looking at calls and puts here. Nothing really shown, no inside bars on the weekly or the monthly. So that is something, we can, maybe get, we look at later on in the week, see how that's running. And a lot of it's to the downside because the SPY did pull back a lot at the end, so it's not a great indication because of how much the market pulled back at the end, but it is something to still look at because you never know what might happen tomorrow. So here is the chart for Citigroup. You guys want to jot that down. It's 4-hour calls is 52.12. Daily calls is 52.25. 4-hour for puts is 51.64, and then the daily for puts is 51.50. So now I'm going to break down Webull with the strikes. So I will show you guys all the strikes and everything, and this way you guys have a good understanding of what we will be looking for in terms of tomorrow. Wow, that is huge. Okay, so let me just pull up these charts real quick. So we already have Wells Fargo out there. Let me pull up CCL. AAL, Pfizer, and then the Citigroup. Okay, so we'll break down each one in terms of what I'm looking for. Oh, I forgot. No, not AAL. I need Cisco. Actually, no, I did need AAL. Whoops. Okay. So we need CCL, AAL, Cisco, Pfizer. Okay, so first we'll look at Carnival. If you look at Carnival, this is on the daily here on Webull, right? So on average, as you look here, it's ran like 2% here, about 25 cents, 35 cents, 68 cents. On average, you're going to get about a 50-cent swing a day for Carnival, right? So when I'm making my, when I'm doing my plays and seeing what exactly I want in terms of a strike, I look at, first thing I do is see how much it moves on average a day. And usually going to get, usually around 50 cents, right? So then from there, I'll come down here, and we have Monday. It's a full week, trading week. So I know if it's about 50 cents a day, that's what? $2.50 for the week. So if we look there, that would give us about $11.50 for this target. $11.50 for calls, and then puts is $6.50. So then with that, that's how I price in now my targets. So then I come down here and I look at then I also look at our calls. Like our call entry for Carnival, the high was 9.18. So I really like the $10 call. It's still super cheap. You can't really go the 11 because of the house, it is pretty cheap, but at that point, so is the 10. So you're better off grabbing the $10 call. It's not going to break the bank. At most, when this thing triggers, it'll be, $10, $11 a contract, which is a nice one to get into. And then as for puts, same thing. I look at the open interest and volume. See, Carnival's a huge one. You're never going to run into a problem with those in terms of those indicators. And the daily entry for CCL is 877. So you could really go either this 8.5 or even the 8. I'm going to go with the 8 strike for the puts. So we got the $10 calls, $8 puts for Carnival as our first one. next we will go to American Airlines, and again, this will, I'm going to do the same thing, post this on my Twitter and my, and in the Discord, so if you need to look at the chart again, it will be there. American Airlines, another one, it's 20 to 50 cents or so, so it's not going to move a ton. You're getting a lot of small days. So in that case, with this, you're looking at 30 cents, maybe 40 cents at the high, really. So you're not looking at a huge week. Calls is $13.92, so I really like this $14.50. Grab this $14.50 call for American Airlines. You can get this 15. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be something that it won't hit, but I do like playing this $14.50. It's got a little bit better in terms of volume and volume, so it might swing a little bit more in our favor. And then American Airlines to the downside is $13.49. So from here, you could really play maybe these 12.50s. Volume's a little, volume's still high. As long as it's over 500, I like it. Open interest is pretty solid. So I definitely like these 12.50s for American Airlines. Next, we have Cisco. Cisco, you can probably get about 50 cents to $1. Some of these days are pretty small, but I like usually 50 cents is a good one to go with. So I'll scroll down. Our call entry is $45.49. If we're getting about 50 cents, these 46s or even this 47, maybe not the 47 because there's not huge volume. So I definitely go to these 46s. They'll probably be, it's about 12 cents for the trigger. So they'll be a little bit higher, maybe 35, no more than $40 a contract, so still not really breaking the bank, which is nice. So I definitely like these 46 calls. And then as for puts, our daily entry is $44.83, so about 50 cents from where we are now. So I would probably go these $44.50 contracts, just in terms of the open interest and volume. There's just not enough here for this 289, this 44 and everything. So I don't want, these will kick up more because it's this week, but just to be playing on the safe side. Next we have Pfizer. Pfizer is a nice one. You'll easily get 50 cents on this on the daily. Call entry is $50.71, so you could really go this 52. I like the 52 call. It'll be another cheap one, no more than $30 a contract. You could extend out to this 53. That's also not a bad one. As for puts, the daily entry is $49.28, so you could really go, when you're looking at these contracts, I'd probably go the 48 and grab those. Those are another cheap one, maybe at most $20 a contract after the price moves in our direction. Another cheap one. And then lastly, we have Citigroup. Citigroup, another one, about 50 cents or so daily. Daily entry is $52.25 for calls. So if that's what I'm looking at, I'm going to probably go these 54s. I like the 54 for calls. And then for puts, we're at $51.50 on the daily. So you could probably grab these 50s. The open interest and volume is just not great for anything else besides the 48s, but that's a little far in terms of what we're looking at. So that will be the watch list. I will post this in the Discord, and now I will go over any questions or any tickers you want me to go over. First, it looks like we have Apple. So if you have any other ones, just let me know, and I will break them down as we go through this video. Okay, so Apple here, the first thing that jumps out at me, actually first let me remove all the drawings. First thing that jumps out at me is this gap on the daily. Just under a $2 gap here for Apple. To the downside. Do I think it'll hit? No, but it is something to look out for, just so that people will, the market will want this gap filled. Will it be tomorrow? No. What is your typical exit? I'll go over that once I'm done with Apple. So that is something that just to keep in mind. This gap fill, the market will want this this filled. Now, if we do break to the downside here on this daily, that would be the first indication if we want this gap fill. So, you know, your entry for the daily for puts is this 59.50 because you get that 2 down reversal, right? And then your first price target would be this 157.64. And that's what you're looking for that, just to fill the gap and then continue running. And then for calls, I usually do not play continuation. A lot of people in the strat do not play continuations like this, like 2-2 continuations. But if you look here on the 4 hour, it's an inside bar, so you can get in for calls here on this 163.18 for Apple and ride that up. And then for puts, it's this 162.25. So Apple is giving you a nice little entry on the 4 hour as well, so you can get some nice little entries here. This 4 hour for calls can then break up, and then your first price target is this 163.63, and then try to ride that even higher. And then for puts, your entry is this 162.25, and then you're trying to ride it to this 159.50. So that's what I'm looking at for Apple. And then if you do get in for puts and it does break this 159.50, you are looking for this gap fill. So that is my breakdown on Apple of where I would get in for plays. I'd be looking at 163.18 for calls and 162.25 for puts. And then I'll do a breakdown. So my typical breakdown, or my typical exit here. So if I were to get in here, right, for calls at 163.18, so right now, where did Apple close? At 162.57, right? This line here. If I were to get in at 163.18 and the open was, let's say it opens at 162.57, just to give you a nice little breakdown, and then the call here on the call is 163.18, I would then, after I get in, I would then come over to now the smaller time frames, and now I'm looking here. So let's just say we did, get in on the smaller time frame right now. So we get in here. If you broke below this and you saw a reversal to the downside, that's when I would get out. That's something that I look for. So if we go back, it would actually probably be better if I go back and pull another day and show you. This way you can see it. So the last inside bar was July 19th for Apple. So for Apple, you would have marked here, right, and here. And then we have to go to the 20th, and we go to like let's say the 15 minute from the 20th. Bear with me while I go back. And then here is the entry, here is the 20th. Right, so here was the 20th. So we broke here on this 3, and we rode it up to here, right? And then we started to pull back a little bit, So if my entry was here on this 151.23, I'd mark it about, so like your first price target, right? You'd be here, and you try to break out. But then if you break here, your entry, or your exit would probably be about here. Right, so you'd break down to the high of this, the open of this candle, and that's when I would look to get out on typical daily, typical entries. I give it some time. Sometimes things the contract will run stupid on you to the downside, and you'll want to get out, which is totally understandable. There are contracts that the stock price will move down 20 cents, and next thing you know, the contract moved down about 30%. There are times you just want to cut those anyway, just because they're, the contract is just running weird. So you don't always have to follow the strat to a T in terms of exits. It just kind of helps you in terms of what you're looking for. So I definitely like to keep them small in terms of where I get out percentage-wise, but in terms of the strat on the daily or anything like that, I look for reversals back to the downside that is going to now go go against me. So for when we were looking at the 4 hour on Apple, right, my entry is in this 163.18. I'd be looking to get out here at 162.57. So that gives me about, what is that, almost 60, 70 cents to the downside for Apple, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that could, you know, hurt your contract a good amount. So I'm giving myself that 70 cents, give or take, and then hopefully before that hits, I'm up to the upside. You know, we reverse to the upside. So I hope that answers both of your questions on Apple, and then as well as the typical exit. And then I will also take now a look at AMD for you. Let me just change this to the daily. Here's another one. Once it reversed off this 3, looks like AMD kind of just took off. So we will mark the low here, just because that would be the reversal to the downside for AMD, and something that we would look for the reversal. And then we also will take a look at the 4-hour. And here's another thing in the strat. You see these purple lines here? These are called pivot machine guns. Why they're called pivot machine guns? Mostly because these are considered technically pivots, like the top. Machine gun, I don't know. I didn't make it. It's a funny name though. I like them. So for here, with AMD, you do have earnings on the 2nd, right? So earnings could be, you know, could play a big role tomorrow. So that is something to keep an eye out for. But here on the 4-hour again, we'd be looking at a put entry of 93.39. This one does look like it's still running, but it is running pretty hot. If you scroll back, it is looking like it's taking out these pivots though from this prior pivot machine gun. So I'll mark these. Boom, right? So that's what we're looking at. So when you see those pivot machine guns like this, with this indicator, you look. So first off, with them now to the upside, your first indication would be if it breaks to the downside, you look, then your pivots would be, you're looking at here. Well, I don't want to mark that, but you know, we're looking here, here, and that's your price target. You're trying to break through each of those. It might take a couple days, you know, but you still want to break those down. That's what you're trying to break. And for the upside, if it goes 2 up again on the 4-hour or even the daily, right? So it's mostly on the 4-hour, this PMG. You do have one on the daily as well. It just filled this gap here, which is nice. And then now it's also still running into this PMG to the upside. So realistically, if you get more continuation to the upside, I would be worried just because of earnings, with them being on Tuesday. But if you get this to the upside, your first price target here is this 96.36, which is very obtainable for AMD. AMD does run a lot. If you can hit this first price target, that's a huge day for you. And then, you know, you could be looking in here after earnings, or that's when we start breaking into the downside. You never know how earnings might play out. So that's definitely something I'm looking for. The gap was filled to the daily, as you see here on this white bar. My entry for calls for AMD would be this 94.81. My entry for puts would be 93.39. Price target on the daily for calls would be this 96.36. My entry for puts on the daily is 90.56, which then means my first price target would then be here at 88.60. But then when you break down to the 4-hour, you get a little bit earlier entries, so your, you know, price targets change a little bit. So for puts, I'm looking at 93.39, and my first price target here is this 90.56, which is the daily entry. So you do have a good swing that could happen with AMD. With the semiconductor bill being passed, in the chip bill, this might continue to run. They always say, buy the rumor, sell the news, but this is just something that has been running hot. So you could see more potential to the upside. Just try to break out some more of these pivot machine guns before it breaks to the downside and take some down there. So I hope that answers your questions. Hope it's not too foreign in a sense. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. If not, let me know and I'll break it down a different way. But if you guys have any other ones you would like me to take a look at, let me know. I'll also take a look at them as well. AMD and Apple do look like two solid ones that could run, you know, a nice little bit. Alright, and I'll do them just for you. Even though you're probably just being a wise ass. Man, I totally forgot about this giant gap that happened to Walmart, but it is officially filled as of Friday. Wow. Make you do my watch? Is that your watch list? I didn't even know. For the daily on Walmart, it's not a great setup here, so it's not something I would look for on the daily. Again, like this gap fill is just running hot since the gap fill. It's not a setup that I like. This 3-2, you'd probably look for a 2 to downside on the 4 hour. But you know, me and your training styles are completely different, so you know what you may see with the flow is something that the Strat just doesn't kind of go into. So it's not something I would tackle at the moment for the Strat, but like I said, our trading styles are different, so you see something that I don't in terms of the candles. But if anybody else has anyone, let me know. We can kind of just sit here and chart a couple more before I pop off. Let me pull up my snipping tool so I can post this in the Discord so people can have that. Probably should have waited. Alright, so it does look like, oh, alright, Mark, can you look at MU? Yes, I will look at MU. First, let me clear all my drawings. So, Micron is actually running a double inside, so it's consolidating a bit. Again, another semiconductor one, so with that bill passing, you could see a nice little run. Or you get the sell the news and little drop. So we will see how this plays out in terms of that. So on the daily, my entry for calls is 62.09. My entry for puts is 60.77. Price targets for the calls is 62.30, and price targets for puts is 60.19 right now. We'll take a look at the 4 hour. It is a 2. So we only get an earlier entry for puts, but our put entry is 61.66, which is a nice, which would give us a nice little rundown to that 60.77 in terms of what we're looking for there. I don't see any gaps or anything or PMGs in the recent past. There is one actually kind of as of June that we could be looking to take out. So let me just mark this real quick. All right, first one, second one. So if you look here, we haven't taken out a single pivot yet. So if we do break this, actually we broke one pivot and then came down. So this first pivot of 63.42 has been broken. So we'll take that one off. But we still look to break the rest of them. It's still, you know, it's still something we can look to break. So if we do break above the 62.09, we try to get into, ride it up. We get our, you know, entry. Will we hit 65.55 in a day? Probably not. That would be a huge day for Micron, almost 10%. So it would be something that would happen over time. But I think with the chip bill, it could help a lot. I do think that's going to have a nice impact on all of those going forward, just because of the profit potential from all of it. So I will see that the 65.55 should be attainable in the near future. It's what, $3.20 for that. Let me look at Micron real quick for you, see how much they move on the daily. You get a couple, you know, you probably get 50 to $1. So it is attainable this week in terms of it, if we do get a nice little run. So it is something to look for, especially just because then once you break this first pivot, you look for that second pivot in the near future. You just keep on trying to stack those pivots as much as possible, so that way you can, you know, keep on taking them out and keep on, you know, riding through the targets. We'll take a look at the smaller time frames. Nothing really to show. It's a inside week, inside, you know, it's a 2 up on the month, it looks like. Oh, that's a 2-day, wrong one. The monthly for MU, yeah, it was a 2 down on the monthly, but then it, you know, has been coming back after the 3. So we will look on the monthly, we look to break 63.68, and if that happens, that's when we run more into this, you know, that first pivot. And then as for the weekly, maybe get a little bit better entry there, which we do. Try to show us a little bit more. Would be 62.39 is when we break 2 up on the weekly. So essentially what we want to break 2 up on the daily, which is 62.09, break 2 up on the weekly, which is then 30 cents later, and then if we can, you know, $1.30 later, we break again 2 up on the monthly, and that's when it will give us a huge boost into this pivot machine gun at 65.55. So those are the targets I'm looking at. Greens are daily, blue is 4-hour, yellow is my price targets for the daily, and then teal and orange are, teal is weekly, orange is monthly. So just a little breakdown for you. I hope that answers your question, Mark. Hope it's not, you know, too much information. And if it is, again, just let me know in the Discord, and I will answer any questions you guys have. Again, I will say, if you guys are in the Discord, the options help chat. If you have any questions, let me know in there. I will answer any questions you have. Same with Ant, same with Squan. This way, other people may have the same questions but may not know how to ask it, and then it may help them. Oh, it's a lot easier to answer it there. We answer it, and then people can see that answer, and then hopefully help them themselves. So that is a huge area to ask questions. We will pin certain things in there, whether it's our trading strategies and everything, or, you know, different. Maybe there's might be the same question asked over and over again. Like, you know, I always get the question, "What's the strat?" So I might pin something in there breaking down exactly what the strat is. So that way, you know, you guys can always just look in there as a refresher, and not have to scroll through it and everything. We want to try to help you guys as much as possible, and, you know, help you guys become a lot better traders, that, you know, you don't have to rely on somebody else. You can always, you know, fish for yourself. But on that note, it's about an hour in. I will end this now. Going forward, instead of doing the watch list now, we're going to break down, you know, we're just going to do like a charting classes and breakdowns of everything, kind of just teach you guys how to chart, or at least the ways that I chart, break down, you know, more, and just simply just look at tickers that you guys have. So I will let you all know when the next one is. I think next week Ant's doing his, and I'll do the week after. So that way I'll give people time during that, you know, weekend. I'll let everybody know, you know, probably the Friday before or whatever, and so that way people can, you know, give me a whole bunch of tickers to look at, and I'll break them all down. So I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Sunday, and I hope you guys are ready to make a lot of money tomorrow. It's looking like a good week. Regardless of which way we go, there's money to be made, both calls and puts. So, you know, be ready on both ends, and I hope you guys have a great, like I said, a great rest of the Sunday, and be ready for tomorrow.